My name is Jesse Valiente. I've been sober for 8 years, August 29, 2012, and I'm 46 years old. I think for me it was bad for a long time, but I think at the end it got really bad for me. The drugs obviously were not always more excessive. There wasn't always more, but the situations and scenarios that I was getting into started to be really, really bad, meaning that I was getting closer to, barely missing death and hospital visits and people pulling guns on me and robbing people. Those things started to get so bad that I was really living on borrowed time at the end, and just got to a really bad spot. So it got to the point, obviously, that I just wanted to check out for probably the last 2 years. I just wanted to just not wake up. More the reason that I would just take so many Xanax or whatever the case, so I could just sleep for 20 years and act like that's not the life that I was living. My mind was like, once I get over this hump, once I get this new job, once I get this new girl, once I get this car, I'm just having bad luck. I've been catching bad breaks. I think somewhere way back, there was always that ideal that I was going to get over this. I was going to be able to lick it. I was going to get my life back together. And it never fucking happened. Never happened. Until I finally took a different route. It never happened. That was 20 years plus that I held on to that shit. It's going to work. It's going to work this time. I think the different route is that I finally got broken down so far that, and as a father, not being present in my daughter's life and all the family being gone, all the enablers backing up. My mom was probably the last one enabling me, really. The rest of the family had cut and run like I was a F5 tornado a long time ago. I think at that point, I had some situations and circumstances that helped me get to that point, but it was the first time that I genuinely reached out to my family and said, I can't do this no more. I need help. That was the first time. I never asked for help before that. I probably knew I needed help 20 years before that, but I never genuinely asked for it. I was just so done and so broken that I was at the point where it's either I'm going to get help or I'm checking the fuck out. My brother showed up with a laptop, looking at every treatment center that was in Arizona, stoked. Because he's like, yes, how long were you going to run that? And he started pulling up websites, and then you got the websites, it's got the swimming pool, and there's people hugging, and everybody's happy, and you're like, that looks amazing, right? And then what happened was somehow or another, my family came on to Community Bridges, and we checked in probably, I can't remember exactly, but I know that was the initial site that we kind of honed in on, and they were the ones that were going to I could come down there. They said, oh, you got to go through detox, you got to come through, do assessment, intake, whatever the case. And I went down there to my brother's house that night, and then my mom and him stayed the night with me. Now, my brother knew that I was going to wake up in the morning and be like, not happening. My mom, too. So I stayed at my brother's, had me on lockdown. I still managed to get out that night and get high a couple more times, whatever the case. And then that next morning, I remember waking up going, I absolutely do not want to do this. There's 0% of me that I just did not want to go there. And then I checked into CBI downtown and sat in crisis for 24 hours, whatever the case, sweating bullets. And I went to the bathroom in a week, and I don't know, I was just sick, and I was done. And at some point or another, after doing them vitals for every 2 hours, I was about to leave, and they said, you're going to get into detox. Now, I didn't know what detox was, but I knew that people were dying to get in there. That's all I ever heard while I was in there waiting. It was like, oh, yeah, detox. So I was like, I don't know, man. It looks tight over there. They're watching movies. They got scrubs. They got doctors. It looks like they're eating good food. It's got to be better than this bitch in here. And sure enough, I went over to the other side, and they gave me some Subutex and a cocktail of a bunch of other things because I looked like Billy Idol and hadn't shaved for 3-4 months. And they were like, and the next thing you know, I was pretty much, they probably kept me sedated for a reason. I was pretty hostile. So I know the whole mixture there. And then I went through, I think it was 5 days back then. And went to my first meeting that night. Some girl planted a seed, said, hey, you ever worked the 12 steps, this and that? And I was like, nah, I usually believe in a higher power. I was like, I don't know. I didn't even believe I was an alcoholic at that point. Even though I had a drinking career that was just disgusting. I had drank for like 2 years because I was just doing nothing but drugs. I just switched just to drugs. So I didn't even raise my hand as an alcoholic, but it was a CA meeting, whatever the case. That was the first time that I ever raised my hand as an addict in a meeting. And I heard his message, and it's crazy. I seen that dude years later, and I was like, bro, I remember you. And he was like, oh yeah. He went out a couple times, so he probably remember shit. And then from there, somehow or another, I found out about another facility, and then I went from there. What happened to me? That's a tough question to answer. I know I had a spiritual awakening. I know I had a spiritual experience. As to when that happened exactly, date, time, frame, hard to say. I know it happened through the work, and I would say it was more centered probably around the first couple chapters of the steps and stuff, and the first 2 steps. I realized after the reading that I was like, damn it, that's me. Damn it, that's me. And I remember him reading over and going, oh, it's 39, it's 80 years. How did they write that? How have I been missing this? And then hearing the people's stories, and then I was like, but I think somewhere in that inventory, man, I had the vulnerability that I never had in my life. I trusted a man just enough to share with him my deepest, darkest secrets, and just let it all go. And I think in that process of me being honest and being willing, something happened. I found out a whole lot of stuff about myself that I never knew, a track record that I never really even, I don't know if I just probably wasn't even good enough or even having enough clarity to even see what was going on in them years past and what was really holding me back and what was really blocking me from a bunch of different things and the bad behavior. I don't know, man. If you don't know, you don't know. And I didn't know. I just chalked it up as something else. You were a piece of shit. You shouldn't have treated me like that. You talked to me like that. I talked to you like this. It was always like that. It was just the cloth I was cut from. You want to walk like that? We'll walk like that. You want to talk like that? We'll talk like that. So I think somewhere in that process there, something happened to me, and I just remember waking up and being different. And then it slowly became much more different. And as I kept on going through the process, kept on going through the steps and all that, life just started to change like dramatically. Like I just had never found that kind of freedom and that kind of purpose ever in my life. Not even close. I toured for a bunch of years. It was 10,000 people. It was like, that was tight. But that was just something special. It was free. No charge. Plus it was mine and it was real. I woke up with it every day. It wasn't like I had to go do that at some point or another. I got that when I woke up. And then if I did extra work, it was a plus and a bonus. I just felt better. So I was like, cool. So I'd probably say that's probably where it's at. I mean, there is several steps after that where I did work and I just found way past that freedom, and it went in like the meds and everything, and it just, my life really started to take off. Life right now, I don't know. I have an amazing job. I have an amazing family. I have a wife now. She's in recovery as well. I swore up and down I'd never date somebody or marry somebody in recovery, and I sure enough did. And she's freaking amazing, and my daughter and me have an amazing relationship that, in comparison to what it was like when I was going through all my struggles, it's just light years difference. My brother, sister, friends, and that I've met over the years, my sponsees. I mean, I could go on and on. My life, I live a really good life. I heard an old guy say, man, years and years ago at a lunch brunch meeting or whatever, he was like, it might have even been Augie. I don't even know. But I can tell you that it was, he said, it always stuck with me. He said, when you can just wake up in the morning and be grateful, you're going to be on fire. And I thought about it. I'm like, how do you wake up and be just grateful? But it makes sense to me. Is I'm grateful just to be breathing. I shouldn't be here. all the times that I went to the hospital, all the things that happened, all the situations, as you say, seconds and inches, it's like, I made it here by, I don't know, everything had to do align, and you had to take the right path. Of course, I made some mistakes, but I followed the roadmap, and I look back on it, and I'm like, if I wouldn't have done that, it might have been a shit show, and then I ended up doing this, and then it was a shit show, but then I got the direction, and I came back, and it was just so many things have happened, not coincidence to me. Definitely, a higher power, that chooses a God under my understanding, and really led me in a direction, man, and something amazing. So, the best information that I can give to anybody who's out there, struggling, or anybody who's kind of going through some bumps, whether you have years of sobriety, whether you have a couple weeks, whether you have a couple days, whether you've never even tried to get to, or whether you're coming back again, is that every day is a new day. And we get a clean slate every day to start over again. And I think that if you can find yourself at a point where you're at least just willing to just take some direction from somebody who has some experience and some time, and understand that that person, man, has your well-being, your best interest in mind. I mean, when there's no charge and there's no fee for somebody to help, you got to really look at it and go, this person really, my intentions and my motives are good. I think that's where we get at some point, is that, are you there? Are you ready to go? If you are, then just follow directions at that point. All you got to do is put one foot in front of the other. You ain't got to do nothing. Just show up here. We'll show you the way. And I think I got so caught up on everything past that it just, it made it a little more difficult for me. I obviously fell in line at some point, but yeah, man, you're worth it. I mean, the life you're living sucks. If you're anything like me, man, that's not a life worth living. That's why it's hope to die addict, because you'd rather die than have to wake up and go through that cycle again. And there is a better way of life, and it's attainable. It's not a whole lot of work. I know a lot of people say it's not though, really. Very, very simple amount of work to have the life we have, and I know it doesn't seem like that, but dude, I came in with a backpack and slides, man, and had to start over with a whole new career. No money, no bank card, no phone, no nothing. And from scratch at 38 years old. And my daughter was 17, so it's like, can't tell me that shit ain't possible. I already know. It's facts. For me, it's experience. I've seen it. I see it all the time. So it's not something I think, it's something I know.